The experience of being abandoned in a relationship is one of the most profound. It is a pain that can feel absolute, a definitive judgment on our worth as a person. For many, it triggers a devastation that seems wildly, strangely disproportionate to the relationship itself. It is a common experience to feel this sense of total collapse, even when, logically, the relationship was not working. A person may have even been the one considering ending it, but when the other person leaves first, the world falls apart. This is the terror of never being loved again, the belief that this loss is the final word on our value. But what if this overwhelming, all-consuming pain is not actually about the partner who just left? What if it is an echo, a devastating psychological resonance from a much deeper, older wound? There is a persistent myth that those who are repeatedly abandoned are somehow trying to recreate their childhood. This idea is not only simplistic, it is shame-inducing and incorrect. The truth is that no one wants to be abandoned. They want to be loved, safe, and accepted, just like anyone else. The pattern is not a choice. It is a complex psychological loop, trapped in place by specific, untreated wounds from our earliest experiences. To break this cycle, one must first diagnose the mechanisms that keep it running. We will explore the 5 core psychological wounds that lock this devastating pattern in place. Wound 1: the echo chamber. The first wound explains the intensity of the pain. When a person with this history is abandoned, they are not just reacting to the current event. Their system is reopening a core file from childhood. They are, in that moment, reliving the original, primal abandonment by a caregiver. The adult intellect is bypassed, and the raw, unfiltered terror of the child takes over. This is why the pain feels so absolute and total. It is the accumulated pain of a lifetime. This psychological state has a name: abandonment melange. It is not simple sadness or grief. It is a toxic, physiological combination of profound grief, intense rage, and overwhelming terror. It can feel like a chemical poisoning, a complete system override that distorts all perception. This is the feeling that can lead to thoughts of suicide or destructive, jealous, and obsessive behaviors. It is the engine of the narcissist's compulsion to find new partners, not as an act of power, but as a desperate, terrified defense against this unbearable feeling. This melange is the sound of the original wound reopening. But what creates such a profound wound in the first place? The answer lies in a specific dynamic that is almost universally hidden. Wound 2: the core betrayal. When the fear of abandonment is this extreme, this devastating, it is almost always linked to a history of childhood abuse. This is the painful truth that society often refuses to see. This specific wound is forged in a 3-phase psychological betrayal. Phase 1 is the abuse itself. The child experiences profound horror, terror, and physical and emotional pain. Phase 2 is the mind's desperate attempt at survival. The child's psyche, unable to escape the abuser, covers the horror. It reframes the abuser's actions, often accepting the abuser's claim that this is a manifestation of love. The child adapts, suppresses the truth, and tries to earn this distorted love. Phase 3 is the final, devastating abandonment. The abuser, often a parent, grows tired of the child or moves on and discards them. This is the moment the core belief is cemented. Despite enduring the unbearable, despite adapting to the unthinkable, the child is still abandoned. The belief becomes, I am worthless. I did everything possible, and I was still not enough. I will always be abandoned. This is the catastrophic wound that fuels the abandonment melange in adulthood. It is the secret terror that one is fundamentally and unchangeably unworthy of love. This wound explains the intensity of the pain. The next wound explains how this past trauma actively dictates future choices. Wound 3, the broken compass. This wound is about perception. A child who grows up with abuse or neglect must become incredibly brilliant at one thing, adapting to horrible circumstances. Their survival depends not on fleeing danger, but on fitting themselves to it. This is the crap fit, the ability to normalize and tolerate chaos, neglect, and pain. This skill, a lifesaver in childhood, becomes a broken compass in adulthood. The internal red light detector that should warn of danger is faulty. When a person with this wound encounters someone who is unstable, unreliable, or emotionally unavailable, it does not trigger an alarm. Instead, it feels normal. It feels familiar. Conversely, a person who is stable, kind, and reliable may feel boring or even threatening. This is not a conscious choice to recreate the past. It is a perceptual disability. The person is not seeking abandonment. They are operating with a navigation system that was calibrated in a war zone and is now being used in peacetime. It is a compass that points toward the familiar storm, not the safe harbor. But what happens when this broken compass, by pure chance, does find someone healthy and stable? Why does the pattern of abandonment so often repeat, even then? The answer lies in an internal civil war. The internal civil war. This wound is the internal conflict that sabotages healthy relationships from within. An individual with this history often presents a very nice personality to the world. This is a protective measure, an adaptation to be compliant, agreeable, and non-threatening. This is the face they show in the beginning, but complex trauma does not stay hidden. It manifests in sudden, uncontrollable bursts of anger, critical behavior, or unreliability. It appears as emotional flashbacks. An emotional flashback is not a visual memory. It is a complete re-experiencing of the feelings from the past, the fear, the rage, the helplessness. A healthy partner who is attracted to the nice personality is now confronted with this second, frightening, and seemingly irrational person. They do not understand that they are interacting with the trauma, not the person. This volatility, this internal war, is frightening to healthy people. It becomes a red flag for them. And so they may walk away, leaving the individual to face the very abandonment they were terrified of. This is the deepest tragedy of the loop. The defense mechanisms created to survive the original trauma become the very tools that recreate it in the present. Understanding this internal split is essential. It is part of a path to understanding ourselves and finally living well. This is how the wound causes us to push healthy people away. But there is one final, more subtle wound that sabotages the relationship before it even has a chance to begin. Wound 5, the unspoken compromise. The final wound is one of deeply wounded self-esteem. It is a belief in one's unworthiness so profound that the individual feels embarrassed to even state what they truly want from a relationship. Research and coaching experience show a common, strange phenomenon. People with CPTSD will privately admit their heart's desire is marriage or a lifetime commitment, but when asked what they are looking for, they will not say it. They feel it is too much to ask. They feel they do not deserve it. So they hedge their bets. They say they want a life partner or a long-term relationship. They enter the dating process dishonestly with their potential partner, and dishonestly with themselves. This is a setup for failure. They have compromised on their deepest desire before the relationship has even begun. They are projecting their own sense of unworthiness onto the situation. The solution to the loop is not just to heal the past. It is to build the self-worth to be honest about the future. The first and most crucial step is to admit on paper what one truly wants. This act of admitting the desire, of claiming its validity, is the beginning of the end of the cycle. It is the foundation for building a healthy love, a love that is not based on panic or adaptation, a love that is calm, trusting, and secure. The cycle of abandonment feels inevitable, but it is not a destiny. It is a pattern, and patterns are rooted in specific, understandable, and healable wounds. By recognizing the echo chamber, the core betrayal, the broken compass, the internal war, and the unspoken compromises, the pattern begins to lose its power. This is a path to understanding ourselves and finally living well.